Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome in for another episode of Spirit Speakeasy. This week, we're going to do something a little different. I do have some guests for us just around the corner, but this week it is just you and me, no formal lesson. But I've got something that I've been sitting with and some questions that I want to leave you with by the end of this episode, because I think that it might do the same thing for you that these questions did for me. At the end of 2025, I was doing some real soul searching, which I tend to do around the close of the year, as many of us do, sitting with my intentions for 2026. And I found myself asking a series of internal questions that I do ask occasionally. And I think these are some of the most important questions that we can ask ourselves. And as it happens, also some of the most uncomfortable questions that we can ask ourselves if we're being really honest and vulnerable within ourselves. Here are the questions, and then we're going to really dive into what happened for me. The questions are: who have I been? Like, who have you been in your life, the past versions of you in this lifetime? Who am I right now? Taking an honest stock and evaluation of your life, all the areas, who you are, how you're showing up. And finally, who am I living into next? And what came up for me as I sat with these questions, including one very specific thing my intuition said to me, honestly, that stung a little bit, is what I want to share with you today. Because here's what I believe: the life you're living right now is always, in some way, in some aspects, a reflection of who you believe yourself to be. And sometimes the most loving thing we can do for ourselves is to get honest about whether those two things are actually matching up: who you are right now and who you're living into with your day-to-day choices. So grab a cup of something good and let's get into it. Okay, so as I mentioned, towards the end of 2025, probably November ish, I was doing some soul searching and I was setting my intentions and thinking about the goals and what I wanted to focus on for 2026. Obviously, we know we can't focus on all the things all the time. So some prioritizing is in order. And I was exploring questions about myself, like I just mentioned. Who have I been? Who am I now? Who am I living into and still becoming in this next phase? And while thinking about who I am, I noticed some of the things that I do think of myself as. And one of those things is a world traveler. I think of myself as a traveler, an explorer. And that little small voice of my intuition popped up into the back of my mind and kind of said, well, you can only call yourself a world traveler if you're actually traveling. And it really just sat there, kind of still in the air or in my heart. And it actually stung a little because the truth is, I've always been a traveler. And it started making me question, well, okay, that's true. If I'm not traveling, can I call myself a traveler? I went down this little rabbit hole of thought because I have memories of being a little girl, probably about 6 years old, a big poofy curly hair and my tiny little suitcase, getting on an airplane all by myself. I started traveling alone from Boston, traveling to Philly or Jersey all by myself by the time I was 6 years old. 6 years old. And I used to meet the most interesting people on the plane. I'm thinking of one time, there I was in my little summer shorts and my little summer top. I would typically get shipped off on the airplane within a couple days of school ending to my family for the summer. And I knew I wasn't really supposed to talk to strangers, but you're on an airplane and people make conversation. It's unusual, especially in the 80s, early 80s, to see a little kid by themselves on a plane. And one day there's this gentleman sitting next to me. I went to Catholic school at the time. And so I recognized the priest collar that he had. And I was like, oh, this is a priest. I can talk to him. And as I was talking to this priest, little 6-year-old me on the airplane where my feet didn't even touch the floor, and back then they used to give you the little pin, the little pilot's pin You could peek in the cockpit. And when I went back to my seat, I looked at this gentleman. I knew he was a priest, and we were chatting a little bit. He was asking me a little bit about myself, and I wasn't giving very much information because, again, still a stranger. And I remember him saying, "Do you know how to play poker?" And of course I did not. And that is one of the many things as a kiddo that I experienced on my travels. Was I on a plane learned to play poker from a priest when I was about 6 years old. So I always just thought of myself as an adventurer, a traveler. It was such a part of my life. I was, in a different state, getting moved around to different members of my family for a few months every single year. And even after I stopped traveling to Philly at about 13, by then I started visiting Southern California for like 14, 15, 16 into 17. And I have always loved the idea of seeing different places. And I even got the chance when I was working with WWE to visit so many states in the United States and several trips to Canada. I went on 2 overseas tours: Japan, Italy, Ireland, Wales, UK. I went so many places. And I was thinking about all of my travels and how attached I am to that part of myself, to describing myself as a traveler, to having that be part of the descriptors I would use about myself as a person. And as I was thinking about it, I realized, like, well, I guess I haven't been traveling much in the past few years. The year before COVID, I was finally getting back to spreading my travel wings again. And in 2019, I visited Portugal and England. I got to go to Arthur Findlay College, and I traveled a little bit around the US for different mediumship demonstrations and workshops. And I loved that I was getting back to traveling. I even remember feeling that for me, it's a different kind of zesty energy in me when I'm traveling, and there's a different level of independence that I feel within myself and about myself. And I was thinking about those trips and, the details of those trips. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that that was all before COVID. And of course, life gets busy and cost is a factor, especially when my kids were younger and at home and as a single mom for many years. It made sense to me during that time that, like, yeah, I had to put that part of myself to the side, but it was never the intention of like, oh, I don't do this anymore, or, oh, I'm no longer a traveler. I'm no longer a person who explores places around the world. I just kind of thought of it as like putting a pause on that for a time being. And when I was getting back to it pre-COVID, I was so excited. And I mean, the truth is, I've taken a couple little trips as I was thinking about it in the last few years. I've been to Vegas to see my bestie and Virginia to visit my son who's there right now. And nothing really felt like that sort of travel that like satisfies that hunger for faraway places and new experiences and different culture and that immersion. And something in me felt like, as I was thinking about all this, as I was considering who am I living into still, and as I was hearing that little small niggle, that annoying little voice that sometimes our intuition comes in, kind of plucking that string inside of me of like, you're not a traveler if you're not traveling. I really felt something inside me rise up, like this was a decision point. Do I want to be a traveler in this phase of my life or not? Either answer's fine. And this is how I usually approach things when I'm questioning inside of myself. Do I want to do this or don't? Either answer's fine, but we got to be honest with ourselves here. And if we're a traveler, where's the travel, right? So what had been brewing in the background is a friend, a close girlfriend, and I have been talking since kind of late 2024, maybe, about scheduling a trip overseas. And we had set it out as spring of 2026 because in 2024, both of us felt like, okay, that feels like a comfortable distance away that we can really think about it and take our time, save a little money for a trip. And I really started thinking that it's important that we make that trip a reality. We had said we're going to do it, and I really meant it. And I believe she really meant it. And so, like I said, that was kind of at the close of the year. And why I think this is perfect parallel timing is that as you're listening to this, or as it's released, it's going to be released on Monday, which I believe is like the 22nd of March. The previous weekend stepping into the astrological new year. So I was doing all of this around the time of the calendar new year just before. And now we're talking about this right at the time of the astrological new year, which I don't believe we need a big marker like that to do this type of assessment or work, but since it's here, we might as well talk about it. So for me, because this was the end of the year, sometimes for funsies, I like to do some version of like a spiritual ritual. I'll either often do it around like the solstice. Sometimes I'll do it at the spring equinox or in the summer. Sometimes I'll do it around the new year. I'll often do something around my birthday, which sometimes coincides just around Lunar New Year. So this year, I was called to something interesting that I haven't done for a long time. So, the other thing to know about me when it comes to these spiritual rituals and things, I know some people, I do have my own personal spiritual practice that I do very regularly and diligently as a part of my normal schedule. But these special rituals, I really feel like we can do them in a way that feels fun and light and easy and delicious and playful for us. I don't like to do them if they feel too heavy or if some people get real superstitious about certain things, like you have to do it a certain way, or I just like it to be playful and fun. So this year, the ritual that was calling to me was a really fun one. It was a 13 wishes ritual. And the premise is, in a nutshell, for this specific thing, you start in December and you write down on individual little pieces of paper, one at a time, 13 wishes. So there I am. You put them in a jar. There I am with my mason jar. And over several weeks, when I felt inspired, I'd go get my little pen, my little tiny piece of paper. I'd write out the wish, and then you fold it up nice and tight and drop it in the jar. And you do that until you've got 13 wishes. Now, most of you know I'm a little extra. And so I wanted to make sure, because you're not supposed to open the wishes again, I wanted to make sure I wouldn't have any way to identify which paper was which. It's all supposed to be random. So I even used a marker. It's like if you've ever used those metallic Sharpies, it's like a gold Sharpie and it's kind of running out. So even the ink itself came out really light. I tried to fold all I cut the little scraps of paper about the same size. I tried to fold them all the same size. And then there I am with my clear mason jar with these 13 little pieces of paper folded in. And then when you've got your 13, you don't open them again. Remember, around the solstice, you start one at a time between the solstice and into the beginning of the new year. You take out one of these pieces of paper, quote unquote, at random. So you're not like looking at which one you're going to take out. I shake the jar, I shake it, I twirl it about, I reach in and swirl them, and then I pluck out just one. And between the solstice and the new year, you burn one of these wishes each day. You do not look at it. You don't have to do this ritual, but it is a really fun one. So you don't look at it. You burn each of 12 wishes, and the intention is that you are releasing this wish to the energy of the universe, and the universe is going to work on 12 of these wishes for you. And then there's one remaining, the 13th wish. And this wish is for the practitioner, in this case, me, to gently peel back and unfold and open. And this 13th wish is for you, for me in this case, to take action on, and the universe is supposed to rise up and meet your free will action and intention and also help with those other 12. So I was down to my last wish. It was the last little piece of paper in the jar, and I was nervous and excited, and I could reach all the way inside my wide mouth mason jar with my hand and plucked out this last wish and gently unfolded my little piece of paper. I could barely read the gold Sharpie ink because my marker is running out, but I could see it. And what do you think was my one wish remaining at the bottom of this glass mason jar? It was travel and experience. I wished to have travel and experience because I am a world traveler. I'm a world traveler. So I wanted to have travel and experience. And as I unfolded this little wish and saw that it was my wish for travel and experience, I was so excited. I did not expect it to be that one at all. I thought it was going to be something much more arduous and much less fun and playful. And I was so excited. I might have even screeched out loud in my apartment. So, to seal the deal, and part of my free will action, because I did this just after the new year, just at that time, this luggage that I had been scoping out. Remember, I told you in 2024, my friend and I decided we were going to think about a trip in 2026. That gave us plenty of time to like check our passport expiration dates and check our luggage. And of course, me being the nerdy researcher that I am, did many deep dives on all different types of rolling carry on luggage and regular carry on luggage. And I watched YouTube videos and did lots of research and double checked the measurements with some of these different airlines that we might be on because they have different requirements. And so this one, there was two. I was down to two pieces of luggage and I kept kind of checking them through the holiday sales. Neither of them was on sale. And they're reasonably pricey pieces of luggage because they're really good and they fit most of the very strange airplane sizing of international flights. So after the new year, this piece of luggage that I had been really eyeing that I knew was one of my two perfect choices went on sale. It was 50% off, friends. That's right. So I decided, oh, this is going to be my first free will action. This is going to be my first sealing the deal with the universe about these travel and experiences. And I decided this will be my birthday gift for myself because my birthday's in January anyway, after all. And I needed to be ready for the travel because I was trusting that the universe was going to somehow bring this into my year, right? So flash forward, I ordered the luggage and waited. Flash forward to about mid-January, and I received an email request inquiry to ask if I'd be interested in doing an autograph signing at a wrestling convention type event in New York in the end of March. And the truth is, I have been asked to do this event in the past. I've been asked many years in a row to do this specific event and lots of other wrestling signing conventions. And for any of you who are wrestling fans out there, you will know that I almost never show up at any of these conventions. Why? Because I live in Southern California and most of these conventions are in the Northeast or in the South, right? So for me to leave from Southern California, it's a day of travel on either end. So that's 2 days. It's the day of the event. Then I'm exhausted. So it doesn't always make sense. Obviously, a promoter that's going to bring me and pay me to come to an event like this, they need to recoup their money too. If you do know anything about wrestling, you will know that while I was there in what is called the golden age or the golden era, I contributed in my own way, but there certainly are people that are much more skilled and talented and famous and athletic and renowned than me from my time in WWE. So I'm maybe not the biggest person that they could bill as an exciting person to come see at the events. So it usually just doesn't make sense for me to go based on the offer. But I was like, for some reason, something in me moved and I was like, you know what? Sometimes I ignore these offers, but I'm going to just kind of half-heartedly reply, explaining to them that, you know, this needs to make sense for both of us, no offense, but could they please send all of the details so I could really consider if they had a real offer. And the truth is, I'm going to be real honest with you. I assumed that I was going to get back what I usually get, which is some kind of lowball offer that doesn't even cover me missing one day with my clients or my work. So I sent it off, just didn't think much more about it because truthfully, most of the time, like I said, it doesn't work out. So not long, like a day or so later, this person sent me back all of the offer, all of the details, right? And it actually wasn't a bad offer. It made sense. I was like, okay, this is maybe not what I would ideally what I would ask for, but we could work with this. This is within reason. And the offer was okay. So I was like, okay, now I need to sit with and consider if I really am willing to go. Because a lot of times I could just easily say, oh, it's not enough. You know, the offer is not enough for me to consider. I don't even have to think about this. But now that the offer was maybe worth considering. I had to really look inside myself and assess, like, am I willing to go? I'm one of those strange folks that gets to be introverted and extroverted all at the same time. So while some aspects of me are an extrovert, other aspects of me are an introvert. And there are some amazing wrestling fans out there that I think are incredible people and are just so sweet and kind and generous. And then, as you might imagine, there are others who make it less fun to go to these things. So I had to really consider if I was willing to go. And as I was sitting with this offer and trying to decide whether I was going to accept it, what rose up for me was my time in the WWE. And I was picturing myself rolling at the time I had a Samsonite, I was rolling my luggage through the Texas airport, which the DFW airport was my hub most of the time, traveling from California to everywhere else in the country. And I used to always park at this one gate segment, right? Because usually if you're flying from the east to the west, the connection area is kind of similar. There's a Cinnabon in that part of the DFW airport. Shout out to Cinnabon. They used to know me over there back when I used to eat gluten. That'd be my one cheat for the week. And what I remembered was not just the delicious, warm, gooey, cinnamony roll with the cream cheese frosting that I can't have anymore because I am gluten-free. What I remembered was that feeling inside of myself when I used to fly across the country every week. This feeling of excitement and independence and freedom. And then what I remembered as part of that feeling and part of that visual memory that I was having of those road seats at the gate across from Cinnabon is I remembered I used to always really wish that when I was traveling with WWE that I could add on a day or two to explore the cities that we went to, because the way it worked in my life and my contract, my kids were very small back then. When I was actually working with WWE, I think they were 3 and 5. And so I would fly out on Monday, work on Tuesday, fly home on Wednesday. So they really only didn't see me for one day, because I saw them on Monday before I flew out and I saw them on Wednesday when I got home. It was usually in the middle of the day. The time difference works in your favor when you live in California and you're traveling from the East Coast. So I was always rushing home to my babies. I didn't want to be away from them. I didn't want them to be away from me. So even though part of me wished, like, oh, I wish I could stay here and see this really cool tension bridge that they have in this town, or see, this St. Louis barbecue, or see the different museums that they have in different places, or different wonders to see and experience. I didn't get to do that because I was always rushing home to the kiddos. And the other truth that I don't often share is that my ex-husband definitely would not have allowed me to stay an extra day anywhere. That would not have been okay. So now, flash forward to 2025, 2026, my kids are grown. And I was thinking, as I'm processing all this is all moving very fast inside me, I'm thinking, okay, in theory, I could stay an extra day or two in the city, in New York. I have really been wanting to go to New York. And I actually even have a girlfriend that she's been a few times. I've been a few times. I've mostly been for work. So I haven't gotten to do a lot of the like sightseeing stuff and wonderful things that New York has to offer. So it's funny because last year in 2025, her and I really were talking about, she went twice last year to New York. And I was like, yeah, we got to go together. We have to like make a girls trip and we have so much fun. And so like it was almost like a cartoon light bulb went off in the back of my mind. Bing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could stay these couple extra days. I could go to New York and explore. I have really wanting to be able to see it. I really want to go to the Met. I really want to go to MoMA. These are art museums. I've really been wanting to visit New York City. I love the vibe of a city. And New York, as we know, is one of the most incredible cities on earth. And I agreed. So I agreed to do the signing. Actually, I'm recording this just before the weekend. I'm leaving on Friday morning to go to New York, and I will be doing the signing on Saturday, which is I think the 21st. So maybe the episode is releasing on the Monday, the 23rd. At the time this episode releases, if you're listening the day it's released, I will be currently in New York City. So be sure to check my social media for that. And a couple weeks later, as I was thinking about it, I reached out to my girlfriend and I was like, hey, we've been talking about this and I had this opportunity and I'm planning on staying a couple extra days in New York. Do you want to come with me? And she was able to make it work too. So we're going to New York and I'm so excited. And I was thinking, like, oh my gosh, this is so serendipitous. I already bought this luggage. This is amazing. And I also got myself a new travel backpack, which I'm a backpack girly. So I was so excited. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm going to go to New York. Wonderful. Well, within a couple days, I receive a different email about a different WWE related signing that is supposed to happen in Las Vegas over WrestleMania weekend, and which is at the end of April. And I couldn't help but thinking, like, travel and experiences. I actually have done this April event in Las Vegas once before, a couple years ago, and I flew in and out on the same day, but after the event was able to hang out with my bestie who lives in Vegas, or the outer greater Las Vegas area. And we were able to grab dinner before I had to hop back on a flight. And I thought, okay, well, if this thing in New York is working out in March, why couldn't I tag on a couple extra days in April? And so I thought, like, oh, instead of dinner, we could have a whole weekend together. And I checked with Bestie and it worked for her schedule too. So in the end of April, I'll be doing an autograph signing and having some fun in Vegas with my bestie. And around that time, so we're still in January as all this is happening, I had a meeting set up, like a hangout with my friend that we had talked about in 2024, doing a big trip in spring of 2026. And we had kind of been back and forth on it, to be honest with you. In the fall, we had talked about it, and both of us kind of felt like, I don't know. I don't know where in the world we'll be good to go. Both of us kind of felt like maybe something was brewing in the energy. Maybe something was going to pop off that we just didn't have information about yet. So we are like, let's wait and let's reconvene in the beginning of the year, sit down, look at the energy then, see how we feel, see if we both feel like we saved enough money to take a trip. And so we had our meeting, my friend and I. And again, we had been chatting about destinations. And one of the things that I haven't shared about me that I do as like a little private tool is when I am stressed or overwhelmed or having a little bit of the blues, right? A little depressed, I will do research online. And so for the last year or so, what I have been researching when I'm a little bummed or down or something happens in my world that I'm kind of just a little disappointed over is I throw myself into something positive, which in this case is research. So by the time that my friend and I had this meeting, I had spent a lot of time researching several different itineraries for 3 different places in Italy, a place in France, and Bali, which is one of the places that we had talked about. So by the time we sat down, we had so much to talk about. We looked at some flights, we looked at all the different destinations, we really talked about it, and we kind of felt like the timing maybe wasn't quite right yet. Both her and I kind of had just a little bit of an unsettled feeling about it. So it was the very beginning of the year. So let's put a pin in this, come back in a few weeks. And we're kind of towards the end of January meeting again. And we're like, oh my gosh, spring of 2026 is almost here. This is crazy. Time is flying. We need to make a choice and lock down some plans if this is going to happen. So again, over the past couple years, I had been working out all of these itineraries. So I had really done a lot of research, not just about like how to get there, but like which layover airport is the most fun, which is the easiest to go through security, which is the best route to go. I mean, really deep dive research. For those of you nerdy researchers out there or planners out there, you know what I'm talking about. So by the time we sat down, we really had some information to consider. And by the end of our meeting time, we had decided that we were going to make a trip to Bali. And just after Valentine's Day, about a month ago, a little more, we sat down. We both felt movement in the energy. We both felt like, okay, we're going to choose Bali. We're not going to choose Europe. and we got to lock these tickets in right now. Sometimes it's like that in the energy where it's like, wait, wait, wait. Okay, all of a sudden go. Have you ever experienced that? That's how this felt. So we locked in our plane tickets. And within a couple weeks, we also decided to lock in our hotels and have a loose itinerary of which places we're going to go first and kind of the route around the island that we're going to make. And we have already scheduled with a couple of traditional Balinese healers. And I am so excited to have this experience in Bali. And that will be in late May into June. We're going to be gone about 2 weeks total. And of course, I am thinking of you guys along the way because I'm so excited not only to be able to share these trips with you via social media, but I also am very excited to learn some new healing techniques in Bali, to experience some different energy. I'm sure I'm going to have some version of mystical experience at these temples. It's my intention to try to record some thoughts and definitely some guided meditations for you while I'm there that I'll be able to share. So I'm really excited to be able to bring a lot of this back and to real time be reporting to you guys, my pod squad. So that is where I am, a girl who has been always a traveler, remembering that about herself and deciding to actually live it again. And I'm sharing all of this today, not because my story is special in any way, but because I think you have a version of this for you in your heart of hearts too. There's something in you that you know yourself to be, a version of yourself that maybe you had to put to the side for a time, maybe had to take a back seat while you were focusing on other important parts of your life. But there's a version of yourself you've been meaning to grow into, a thing that's been calling you from inside yourself that your soul wants to experience. And that deserves a second look, especially if it's something that you had to pause or put a pin in at one time. So here's the question I would love you to sit with this week. Not overthink, not give yourself a hard time or grill yourself or be down on yourself about, but just sit with. Who are you becoming? Who are you living into next? And maybe more importantly, is how you spend your days, your energy, your choices. Is it actually reflecting who you're wanting to live into next? Because I really deeply believe that our intuition is always nudging us towards the most alive, most expanded versions of ourselves. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's just a little small, annoying voice saying, well, are you though? Listen for it. It's always there. And I'll be reporting back from New York this weekend or into this week. So if you're listening to this on the Monday or Tuesday when it's released, or even right after that, check my socials. I'll have lots of interesting things on there and I'll be reporting in. And of course, from Vegas, and of course, from Bali, and even from Singapore, where our wonderful layover will be. And one more thing before you go. If this episode has stirred something in you or gotten you thinking, looking over your life a little bit, looking over who you have been, what you've left behind, who you are now, you might even notice, like me, that your intuition is already moving you that direction. I already was researching travel. I already was picking up what's those little compression bags that you pack in, and special reusable plastic bags for your shoes, and I bought a new bathing suit. And so I already was doing these little bits of collecting the breadcrumbs even before I realized that this was going to be the next thing I was continuing to live into. If this stirred something in you like that, around your identity, around being honest with yourself, around who you're wanting to become, I really would love it if you would share it with someone that you can talk about these things with, or that is an honest, open friend. And the other last little thing I want to leave you with before I go is I have something special coming up. Again, I'm always thinking about you guys that I haven't formally announced yet, that will be announced any day now. It is a master class. It's going to be free. It's going to be right in the beginning of April. Keep an eye on your inbox. If you are in my VIP email community, it's totally free to join. By the way, you just go to the homepage of my website, joyfulmedium.com. If you scroll down a little bit, there's a free mini course. And also, watch my socials, listen to the pod. There will be announcements about it. I don't want you to miss it. Everyone has been telling me that they need tools desperately, but that it's too much. It feels too much to do, even if it's free, to do like a several day workshop. So I'm condensing it down into a power packed hour and a half or so of a master class for you guys. And I'm going to squeak it right in between these trips. I've already been working on the outline and pouring my heart into it. And I would love it if you would come and keep an eye, because I'm creating this just for you based on what everyone has been telling me they need and the current and upcoming energies. So keep an eye on that inbox and on my social media for all the details coming very soon. And I plan to play some fun little games with you guys via my socials when we're on these trips. So at Joyful Medium on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and I think Blue Sky too, honestly, but I don't really post there. And Joy Giovanni Psychic Medium, for those of you that like to watch it on the YouTube. You can also get all of the pods on my website, joyfulmedium.com, in the blog section. Okay, guys, I'm so excited for this travel. I can't even wait to step back into this world traveler version of myself. And I want to know, please tell me in the comments or respond to me by email or on my socials. What is it that you are living into next? What are you living into next? Okay, Pod Squad, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. As always, big hugs, lots of love. Bye for now from inside Spirit Speakeasy.